The highest rate of crime across America is between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. And people always ask themselves, why is that? Well, it's because mom and dad aren't home from work yet. So if kids aren't playing sports or having an after-school activity, what are they doing? And why is the crime rate so high during that time? And that's CARES' real mission, is we're attacking that time threshold to say this is an opportunity for your child to engage and to do something that's fulfilling.
Austin Jack is the executive director of Legacy Cares, a nonprofit organization that provides the opportunity for people from all walks of life to come together and participate as a community in sports. Legacy Cares operates out of a 320-acre world-class family sports entertainment park that is available for all economic backgrounds.
A lot of kids in the state of Arizona, because of various reasons, whether it's a financial deal, whether mom and dad are divorced and can't afford for the child to play in their given sport, or the child's being raised by grandparents and maybe they don't have the energy to be taking them out to fields in 100-degree heat. CARES steps in and we help provide that family environment to these individuals. I like to look at it as an ecosystem where family, sport, and philanthropy all meet.
Today, let's sit down with Austin and hear his story about how Legacy Cares is having an even greater impact in the community than expected. Let's dive right into today's American Game Changer. Austin Jack, welcome to the Epoch Times American Game Changers.
Thanks for having me, Nick.
Absolutely. So, I've known you for a little bit. I've seen your work. So let's start from the beginning, though. Tell me a little bit about you and the things that you're working on right now.
Absolutely. So really, and you know this well, the intersection of business and philanthropy is now more important than ever. I've spent the greater part of the last decade of my life involving myself in any type of organization that is really catered towards one thing, and that's community. The fight against child and human trafficking, the fight against suicide, which is now rising rates across the board because of the pandemic, and one thing our policymakers refuse to recognize, which is still ongoing. I've also been involved heavily in international relations, both in Eastern Europe, in ex-communist Yugoslavia, which is now Montenegro, Bosnia, and several other countries, and public policy organizations across the board. And today, which is why we're meeting, I'm now involved in a youth athletic organization, which is called Legacy Cares, located in Mesa, Arizona.
Yeah, tell me a little bit more about Legacy Cares and how that all started.
So we'll start from the beginning, a vision from a family, I'll call it. So a gentleman named Randy Miller, who's both of his kids professional athletes, collegiate athletes. Him and his wife would go to sports parks, as every family does right now, and kids are playing on separate fields, especially if they're the same age. Mom's on one, dad's on another, maybe grandparents are there, so they're walking in between, taken away from each kid, and then you start thinking about the size of these parks and what's available. Municipalities across the country provide playing fields for different rec leagues and things like that, but people don't ask themselves, what don't they have? You don't have family entertainment to watch the siblings. You don't have food and beverage to feed and hydrate the kids after the games. And you don't have an area for the teams to reconnect after the game outside of an outfield, just outside of the fence. Now, Randy Miller and his wife struggled with this for years. And over time, he started to come up with the concept of how can I create the quote unquote mecca for youth athletics? And that's how Bell Bank Park was born, from that vision. And today, they have created an incredible organization and an incredible development on 320 acres of land. As of today, it is officially the largest sports park in North America, let alone the world. I think Saudi Arabia has us beat by a couple acres, I like to say, but I really would like to visit that location to see how close it is. In this park is more than that. Comparably, it could be something like the Disney's Worldwide of Sports.
Wow.
Except this, if you've been to Fremont Street in Las Vegas, the zip line that runs down it, we have a zip line.
Wow.
We also have a multi-purpose room, just over 40,000 square feet. We have 2 other field houses that contain gymnastics, cheer, futsal, which is the new indoor soccer, basketball. We have a giant 8-field baseball softball complex. We have over 32 soccer fields. We have 41 pickleball courts. We have 2 professional-sized stadiums for both football and soccer and pickleball. And the list goes on. I mean, it is really an extraordinary new asset to the state of Arizona and also the entire country, because what we're seeing now is families, coaches, and players are flooding to Bell Bank Park because they want this new experience for their kids. But what's the big problem? Not everybody can afford that experience. That's why Legacy Cares exists.
So what do you hope the community impact will be of the park?
So during my first 100 days taking over this position and not managing the park but managing Legacy Cares itself, we made a conscious effort to invite nearly every 501c3 organization in the state of Arizona to visit us, to learn about what we have to offer, but to also encourage collaboration. One thing I've noticed in my career is every 501c3 organization, they're focused on 2 things: their funding and their reach. What's not included in that is collaboration. What I hear now from donors more than ever is every organization is working in silos, and foundations and individuals are saying, why can't you work together and bring a joint project to me? And that is the mission I have tasked myself and my team with, is how can we partner with these other organizations to create a stronger community for our youth, but also create programming that isn't just centered around athletics, but centered around the idea of building a family unit. You know, when you look at different athletic programs and their teams, what is kind of the theme you always hear? We're a family. Coaches are always saying, you've got your teammates back. You look at the relationship between a catcher and a pitcher. They're brothers. Yeah. Or in a softball situation, they're sisters. If you're looking at a 2-on-2 volleyball match, they're a family during that match. And they're also a family off the field. A lot of kids in the state of Arizona, because of various reasons, whether, you know, it's a financial deal, whether mom and dad are divorced and can't afford for the child to play in their given sport, or the child's being raised by grandparents and maybe they don't have the energy to be taking them out to fields in 100-degree heat.
Yeah. Arizona gets hot.
Absolutely. CARE steps in, and we help provide that family environment to these individuals. I like to look at it as an ecosystem where family, sport, and philanthropy all meet. And we've done an incredible job of launching programs that caters to at-risk youth, those below the poverty line, and organizations that really would not only not be able to function without funding, but aren't able to function because they don't have assets to utilize like we do at Bell Bank Park. While so many courts and fields are filled up every weekend, it's really that time during the week, Monday through Friday, that we engage with our nonprofit partners and say, hey, why don't you bring the 100 kids that you have the after-school program for and come play baseball for a day, or come play soccer?
You know, I think that's one of the main reasons I even wanted to bring and even talk to you, because it seems like what I love about even what I'm hearing now is like you guys are trying to find ways that you can bring in lots of people in the community. I just had someone on that was talking about adoption, foster care, and you know, we should be trying to do things that include everyone.
Absolutely. And you know, we try to even go beyond inclusivity. I mean, we have one organization who is Christian Rec and Club League for baseball and several other sports, and they currently don't have a home. You know, they don't have different fields and courts that they can use within their municipality, because you know what we're starting to see is playgrounds and parks are not at the top of the agenda for some of our city council members, really not just in Arizona but across the country. And that being said, Bell Bank Park offers them that opportunity. So people with different religious backgrounds, different ethnicities, different levels of income, different age groups, they're all coming to Bell Bank Park because they see an equal opportunity in the athletic marketplace. And creating an environment that is safe, friendly, and I have to tell you, Nick, when you come on site, it feels like you're at Disneyland. Our staff greet you, they smile. If grandma's having issues getting out of the car, well, a golf cart's gonna come and pick her up and take her to field 4 so she could go watch Johnny play baseball. I mean, I have never quite seen something like this in my career, and it's why I wanted to join this incredible team and the Millers to fulfill their vision.
Yeah, and you brought up a few Millers. Who are some people that have really, would you like to give a shout out, that have inspired this, or groups, organizations that have really helped you with this?
So, because we're so early in the game, right now this entire vision is credited to Randy Miller and his family.
Wow.
I'd like to say there's a lot of other people involved, and of course there were along the way, especially when they were securing financing and building this and the architecture of the park. I mean, it's beautiful. But without that vision of Randy Miller and really pushing the envelope with the city of Mesa and the state of Arizona, this vision would really not have come to fruition. I mean, originally he thought 25 acres would build a couple fields. Then it was 50, then it was 75, then there was conversations about 120. Then that was too big, so we went down to 50. And then one day somebody said, let's do 320 and just go all in on this.
Wow.
And that's how this park was born. I mean, just kind of a cool, quick story for you is, at our big ribbon cutting ceremony when the park opened on February 4th, we actually had one of our staff members ride down the zip line on what's called Miller Lite Way, which is sort of the nucleus of the park. That's where a lot of our food and beverage is. They were holding a giant scissors to cut the ribbon. So the gentleman flew from one end down to the other, and then Randy and his family cut the ribbon to have the grand opening for Bell Bank. And what is just awesome about this facility, and what I love the most, is not only their engagement with the community, but the events that are offered there outside of sports. We've done everything from hosting Dino Quest, if you've heard of that. There's the giant animatronic dinosaurs. We've hosted a circus. We've done smaller concerts. We're actually hosting a suicide prevention concert for youth this fall, with Alex Boye being our top headliner. And we're hoping to bring in anywhere from 10 to 30,000 kids. So it's really beyond sports at this park. I mean, of course, that was the emphasis we wanted to provide, that we're the state-of-the-art sports facility, but there's so much more to us.
You mentioned before, but what do you see some of the challenges coming up? What challenges do you foresee coming your way?
Are we going to have another pandemic? And what regulations are we going to see from state and federal governments that's going to impact organizations like ours? I look at sports as an outlet for families and kids. Where we see the highest rate of crime across America is between the hours of 3 and 6 p.m. And people always ask themselves, why is that? Well, it's because mom and dad aren't home from work yet. So if kids aren't playing sports or having an after-school activity, what are they doing? And why is the crime rate so high during that time? And that's CARES' real mission, is we're attacking that time threshold to say this is an opportunity for your child to engage and to do something that's fulfilling. And in everything we do, it's that whole mind, body, soul approach. How can I do better with my nutrition? How can I do better with mental wellness? And how can I set goals for myself that will advance my own personal well-being, not just my career, not just my athletic proficiency, but me as an individual. And that's really what we try to instill in these kids that come through our various program areas. And you asked me earlier about shouting somebody out. Someone I do want to say is Roman Gabriel. His father is the famous quarterback with the NFL, and Roman Gabriel has started a foundation that targets underprivileged youth and youth in general, and encourages them to take a drug and alcohol-free pledge until the age of 21. We all know that once a kid turns 18 and 21, you kind of lose control of their decisions at that point. But what can we do before that to make sure that they essentially not stay out of trouble, but work on themselves as an individual?
Yeah. So what do you hope the future will look like in the park and the nonprofit charity? What do you hope you see it comes in fruition 5, 10, 20 years down the road?
So I hope every family in the United States is aware of who we are, and that every family in the United States has the opportunity to visit this incredible asset. The biggest sort of issue 501c3 organizations have right now is transportation. How do you get kids from point A to point B? And especially with the rising rate of gas prices, parents can no longer afford to drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour to get their kid to a practice or a game. So Legacy Cares is stepping in and launching a transportation program that will provide that to families in need to bring them out to Bell Bank Park. Going a step further, I would like to see sponsorships for flight accommodations so that kids from other states who want to experience what we have to offer at Bellbank Park can have that opportunity.
Wow, that's great. Just the day-to-day, what inspires you personally to continue this fight and to continue doing what you do and to do the work and continue?
So I think that boils down to what I view as a simple answer. When you ask people, what's important to you? If you can rank your top 3 things, what do most people say their top 3 things are? Faith, family, and something else. In my mind, family is the most important thing to me. And family is what draws me to this park. It's the atmosphere, it's the collaboration, it's the camaraderie. And I was just married last year. And my wife and I are now talking about family planning. So I look to the future as, where are my kids going to be able to go after school while we're at work? Will that environment be safe? Will it be friendly? And what are they going to get out of it that are going to make them a better individual as they grow up? And that's Bellbank Park. And I think that's really what drew me to this organization. In my past career, I was always focused on different aspects of philanthropy in the nonprofit world. And also, we own several businesses as well that we operate, but one thing that is a constant reminder is you can't do business without doing philanthropy. The most successful people are philanthropists, and the only way to become a philanthropist is to grow a company. But you have to do it with something else in mind. What's the greater impact you're going to make? What's the footprint you're going to leave in this world? Mm-hmm. We're called Legacy Cares for a reason. We care about your legacy. What are you going to leave behind? What mark are you going to make at our facility? But not only that, but in your own community and in your own life. Right now, more than ever, kids coming out of the pandemic, they're readjusting. And we don't talk about this enough in the media either. And that's why I'm really glad we're having this conversation is, kids lost that camaraderie and sense of teamwork. There's a rising rate of kids earning their GED now because they no longer want to go to school. They want to go to the next thing, whether that be a trade school, they want to chase a university career, or they just want to get to work. But there's an issue that needs to be addressed there. And I think that is because we have withdrawn so much of that team and group collaboration within the classroom that kids are saying, well, I really don't want to do that anymore. And, the phrase you hear every day is, oh, they're socially awkward. I really don't like that phrase. Mm-hmm. It's not that they're socially awkward. It's just they've been locked up in their bedroom looking at people through a Zoom lens that they no longer know how to be social. They kind of forgot that aspect. When I was a kid growing up, you made friends on the playground. Hey, let's go down the slide together.
Yep.
Or, if you're playing a sport together, let's go play catch. How are you supposed to do that in this environment we've had these past 2.5 years?
It's tough.
It is, and I think that's why this organization in this park is so important, because it gives that opportunity for those quote-unquote socially awkward kids to come out of their shell, come out of their bedrooms, and experience teamwork and pick up those social cues again on how to make friends more organically. It's the same thing with young adults. You've got Tinder and whatever else it is, and I started dating my wife before all of that even came out. But these online platforms and stuff, that's not enough.
Yeah. There has to be a brighter thing for everyone.
Exactly. You've got to offer something that's different.
So last question, what is your message of hope? That's why I love to end my shows, is hope, and you've been pretty inspirational throughout, but what is your internal message of hope and inspiration that you'd like to get across before we leave today?
I like to empower people to create ecosystems. Ecosystems within their family, within their community, even within their neighborhoods. And what I mean by that is collaboration across the board, whether it's a company, a charity, a neighborhood watch. Collaboration needs to happen for us to really evolve as a species. And I use that word because the United States and so many other countries right now, we're at a point of evolution, I think. We've come out of this pandemic. We've learned how to communicate virtually across national borders, across state lines, into different office spaces. And I think we need to go back to more of that organic ecosystem of talk to your neighbor, wave at somebody as they drive by, talk to your local chamber of commerce, talk to the local community groups, get involved, empower yourself, your family, and your kids to be more.
Yeah. Awesome, Jack. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really appreciate it.
Of course, I appreciate it, Nick. Thanks so much.